Great to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Todd. Thanks for having me.
All right. We don't have an actual specific market report to give to folks, but you wanted to talk about some confusion out there with, I guess you'd call them competing multiple listing services, and that's kind of throwing a curveball for folks who are shopping and marketing their houses.
Yeah, true. So, I want to give you just a little bit of numbers. We won't dwell on it because here's what's happening. So for years and years, there was, is an MLS, which is the multiple listing service. I like to think of it like a catalog of where all the homes are listed. So any realtor that is listing a house, it goes into this database online that any realtor, any licensed agent, and even appraisers can look up that data. Back in the olden days, they had big books they carried around.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
Yep.
So there's been a local MLS. We call it the OLS, which is the Olympic Listing Service. And then there's another MLS. It's called the Northwest Multiple Listing Service. And that covers a much broader area. So the local MLS covers mostly just Clallam County. Other agents can put theirs in there, but it's mostly pretty local. And so I like to say anybody, or at least up until recently, anybody who is an agent in the area was really a part of that MLS. And then sometimes they would be a member of the other MLS, which covers a much broader area. And that's mostly if they were going to travel and sell homes statewide, which most agents don't. So really there didn't seem to be a need for two MLSs. However, we have two. And over the years, it's kind of migrating, even recently. But what it means to have two MLSs, you're doing double entry. You're putting houses in two different databases so that more agents potentially can see them. However, so you know how, Todd, when you go on, if you were going to search for a house and you went online, let's say Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, any of those sites, the MLS is IDX out. And I always think, what is IDX? I better get this right. Internet Data Exchange. Yep. So the houses all push out to all of those sites. We have an agreement with all of those private companies to say, hey, we'll share our data with you so that buyers can go to your site and see all of the inventory as well. Well, so it kind of creates a conflict because the two MLSs have different fields. And so when it goes to these sites, they have to choose one or the other. It used to just list it twice and it would be conflicting information. So now they can just choose one. Anyway, all that to say, why am I telling you this? When we tried to pull the statistics as of the first of the year, it's sort of all over the place because now what's happening is some agents have left the local MLS, and then there's some, diehard agents who are never leaving the local MLS. So we have, I pulled the data last week from both MLSs, and I said, there's 40 houses in this MLS that don't appear in this one, and there are 27 in this MLS that don't appear in this one. So you can see the quandary. It's not going to pose any problem for buyers because they're going to see all that inventory online because we push it out from either site. It's just creating a little bit of a gray area when we try to
when you're tracking your stats then, right? Yeah, as to what things we're really selling for or not, and some of these numbers that we kick around every month when we have you on.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun to talk about other things and to kind of educate people what is an MLS, and and maybe for a while we won't have real solid numbers unless we kind of dissect them both, and that gets pretty boring. But I can tell you just round numbers for January and February, they're kind of neck and neck for homes sold. In Sequim, we sold 25 homes in January and 25 homes in February, so right on track for this time of year. Days on market, though, in February is about half of January. So you can imagine that's because as we get into spring, we're ramping up more buyers. They're ready to buy. And then cash sales, 11 of the 25. That's a lot. Almost half of the buyers in February in Sequim were cash. That just seems crazy to me. Port Angeles, the same, 27 homes. Neck and neck for January, 27 also in January. Cash sales, 7 of the 27. So I think it kind of shows you a different demographic.
Yeah, that's right. Right. The what's the feel for the market right now? I mean, January, February is kind of, we've talked about this in the past. It's kind of gets a little sleepy, but what are you seeing out there?
I think we're going to have a really busy spring already. I think I've got, I don't know, probably 10 houses coming on in the next 30 days, and I'm just one person, one agent here. I think there's going to be a lot of inventory. I think I just saw the headlines online that February was the biggest segment of home buyers was first-time buyers, which is beautiful because rates have been so high for a long time. I feel like they're starting to feel like, all right, we got some relief, we got some inventory, let's strike.
Real quick before we run out of time, any suggestions? Somebody on the fence right now, what should they be thinking? If they're thinking about selling or buying right now, what's the advice from Mae Graves?
I would say it's still early enough in the spring that the buyers can still have a lot of inventory to look at and not have a ton of competition. Same goes for sellers. You know, if they wait too long, we just get kind of flooded with inventory. All the buyers, all that pent-up energy, you know, they've bought. And so it gets a little bit of a plateau or a lull again until fall.
Okay. We're going to talk in a few weeks again, and I don't know, maybe we'll have some different numbers. Maybe not. That's okay. Yeah. But we'll give people an idea what's going on in the real estate world here locally. Our real estate pro is the real estate market pro, one of them at least. That's Mae Graves. Mae, great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Have a great day.
All right.